Selling one-on-one coaching calls when you don't feel like the expert in the room. A polished template can hide your nerves. A live call can't. Here's how to price and show up anyway. An ebook doesn't know you rewrote the intro 4 times because you weren't sure it was good enough. A template doesn't hear your voice shake. But a one-on-one coaching call is live, unscripted, and staring back at you through a webcam. And that's exactly why imposter syndrome hits differently here than anywhere else in your business. You can polish a PDF until the doubt disappears from view. You cannot polish a real-time conversation. This is the piece nobody writes because it's uncomfortable. How do you price your time and actually book the call when part of you is convinced the person paying knows more, or will find out you don't have it all figured out? Why coaching calls feel scarier than everything else you sell? Think about the last time you hit publish on a digital download. You reread it, fixed a typo, maybe asked a friend to skim it, and then it existed, finished, outside of you. A coaching call doesn't get that grace period. The buyer watches you think in real time. There's no delete key. That's why so many creators confidently sell a $40 template, but freeze at charging $150 for 45 minutes of their own attention, even when the call helps the buyer more than the download ever could. The fix isn't waiting until you feel like an expert. Plenty of people with real expertise still feel that gap permanently. The fix is separating 2 things you've been treating as one: whether you know more than everyone on earth about your topic, and whether what you know is useful and worth someone's money for an hour. Those are different questions, and only the second one matters for pricing a call. Price the outcome, not your resume. Imposter syndrome loves to turn pricing into a credentials contest, as if the right number is tied to years of experience, follower count, or a certificate on the wall. Buyers rarely think this way. Someone booking a call with you is buying a specific outcome in a specific window. A reviewed resume, a diagnosed bottleneck in their onboarding flow, 30 minutes of focused attention on their actual problem. Price against that outcome, not against an imagined ranking of who's the bigger expert. These numbers are illustrative starting points, not a rulebook. Your niche and results will move them up or down. The point is the middle column. Name the outcome first, then let the price follow, instead of starting from a vague feeling of what you're allowed to charge. If you want to see this assembled on an actual page, a live example store shows a coaching offer sitting right alongside digital products, priced with zero apology in the copy. Narrow the scope so the doubt has less room to grow. A huge amount of pre-call anxiety comes from scope, not skill. Book a call with me about your business is terrifying because it's unbounded. The buyer could ask you anything, and your brain will invent the one question you can't answer. Book a 30-minute call where I review your email sequence and flag the top 3 fixes is a completely different experience for you and for them. It's finite, specific, and plays to exactly what you know well. Name the deliverable, not just the time slot. A reviewed landing page beats a 30-minute call every time. Cap what's covered explicitly in the product description so scope creep doesn't happen live on the call. Ask for context up front with a custom checkout field, a link, a screenshot, a one-line goal. So you walk in prepared instead of improvising. Offer one clear next step at the end, a resource, a follow-up option, a specific action, so the call has a defined finish line. Use your checkout to do the prep work. Store.fan lets you add custom checkout fields to any product. For a coaching call, ask one pointed question at purchase. What's the one thing you want to leave this call knowing? You'll show up with a plan instead of winging an opener, and that alone knocks out most of the pre-call nerves. A confidence routine you run before every call, not just the scary ones. Waiting to feel confident before you book calls is a trap, because confidence for live, improvised work is built by reps, not by thinking your way there in advance. What works is a short, boring, repeatable routine you run every single time, So your nervous system learns the pattern instead of treating each call like a fresh threat. 15 minutes before, reread the buyer's checkout context and write down the one outcome you're aiming for. 5 minutes before, say out loud once why this person booked you specifically for this topic. 1 minute before, close every other tab and take 3 slow breaths. The goal is presence, not hype, during the call. If you don't know something, say so. Let me check and send that after is a complete answer after the call. Write 2 lines about what went well before you write anything about what didn't. You don't need to feel like the expert in the room. You need to be the person who showed up prepared, listened hard, and gave one honest, useful answer. That's the whole job. Let your storefront carry some of the credibility weight. Part of what makes a coaching call feel so exposed is that it seems like the entire relationship rests on you, live, with no backup. It doesn't have to. Everything a buyer sees before they book, your storefront, your other products, a testimonial, a clear description of what the call covers, does credibility work on your behalf before you ever say hello. A clean, considered storefront quietly tells a buyer, this person is organized and takes this seriously before the call has even started. If you haven't set this up yet, it takes less time than most people expect. You can create your store and list a coaching call in the same sitting you add your first digital download. Cover photo, a short bio, and a clear call description go a long way toward making the offer feel established. And because delivery of the meeting link happens automatically the moment someone pays, you're not manually chasing invoices or sending links by hand. One less place for pre-call stress to creep in. Write the outcome in 1 sentence. What will the buyer know or have by the end of the call? Set a time cap and stick to it in the product description, not just in your head. Add a custom checkout field asking for context so you walk in prepared, price against the outcome table above, then round to a number you can say out loud without flinching. Add 1 line about what happens after the call, a recap, a resource, or a next step offer. Read your own product description back and cut any hedge words like, I think, or hopefully. What to do when a call goes worse than you hoped. It will happen eventually. A question you can't answer well. A buyer who seems unimpressed. An awkward silence. This is the moment imposter syndrome tries to convert one rough call into permanent proof that you don't belong here. Resist that math. 1 call is 1 data point, not a verdict. Follow up afterward with anything you promised. Ask directly whether the session hit what they needed, and use real feedback to adjust your scope or prep, not to quietly stop offering calls. A rough session that gets a thoughtful follow-up often converts into a repeat booking. Disappearing after is the only genuinely bad outcome here. The nerves don't fully go away, and that's fine. They're not a signal that you're unqualified, just a signal that this format is more exposed than a download. Price the outcome, scope it tightly, run the same short routine every time, and let your store handle the logistics so your energy goes toward the minutes that actually matter. Check more guides for the pricing and mindset side of every format you sell, live calls included. Key takeaways. Live calls trigger a sharper form of imposter syndrome than static products because there's no editing pass between you and the buyer. Price coaching calls by outcome and access, not by comparing your credentials to someone else's resume. A tight, repeatable pre-call routine does more for your confidence than waiting to feel ready. Scope the call narrowly. A focused 30-minute session sells easier and delivers better than a vague, ask me anything hour. Your Emily store. Fan storefront can carry the credibility work for you before the call even starts. Start your creator store free at store.fan.